You know, the world we live in today, I think people are feeling less and less at ease at going in public places. And the church is the steward of the Christian faith until Christ returns. So what we're going to take a look at today is we're going to take a look at why you need church security and why you specifically need armed church security and kind of what that looks like. We're going to support this with biblical principles as well as just some data from the world. As Jesus last night as a free man after the Last Supper, disciples really weren't fully grasping what was about to happen. Jesus specifically came to this earth to die, and he knew that shortly after this dinner, he was going to be captured, taken up, and crucified for the sins of the world. And Jesus was living outside of time, and he knew exactly what was about to happen later that evening. As he tries to prepare the disciples, he tells them that they need to buy a sword. And the word that he uses for sword here is a different word than they use for a battle sword. What he used is the word for a dagger. So he's specifically talking about, at the time, a self-defense weapon. And when the disciples told him that they had two, he told them that was enough. Now what I get from this is that these disciples were the very first church in the world. And their job was to, some of them, defend the church. And I know it wasn't all of them, because later on that evening, as Jesus was taken up and captured, Peter came up and he pulled out a sword and cut off the ear of one of the guards. And Jesus told him to put it away, and he told him to put it away for two reasons. Number one, because he was there to die. He was there to be captured. He knew exactly what was about to happen. He knew exactly what he was there to do. He didn't like it, but he was there to do it. And Peter was meant for something very different, because he told Peter, those who live by the sword die by the sword. And Peter was not meant to be the physical guardian of the church. He was meant to be the spiritual guardian of the church. He was meant to be the first leader of the church. And as history shows, Peter did become the head of the church. Now what I get from this is a few different things. Number one, again, I'm going to say that the church is the steward of the Christian faith until Christ returns. If you're not an active part and an active member of your church, you need to quickly do that. If not this church, then that church. But you need to be a part of that church specifically because we have to be stewards of the Christian faith. If the church doesn't do it, who is going to do it? Secondly, when it comes to church security, we absolutely need church security. There are more churches being attacked today than ever before. And it is the obligation of some members of that church to protect the flock. Just like when Jesus said 2 swords was enough, he didn't necessarily mean that every single one of those people needs to be a fighter, because Peter was specifically told not to be one. But he did realize that somebody needed to do it. And in this world, there's really 3 types of people. There's sheep, and that is most of the world. And then there's wolves, and that's a small percentage of the world. And then there's sheepdog. There's the people that guard over the sheep. It's the police, it's the fire, it's your security guards, it's your mother or father, whoever protects your family. It's the people that are willing to stand in between the sheep and the wolves. And every single church desperately needs this. Number 3, it needs to not be the pastor. The pastor needs to focus on being a spiritual leader and also an organizational leader. He does not need to focus on, when he's given a sermon, looking around and keeping his eye on everybody and scanning the crowd for people that just don't look right. We have a saying on our church security team that when we're scanning the crowd and we're just looking at people, there's often those people that just stand out. There's something about them that's just not quite right. You just kind of have that feeling. A lot of people would call it a spidey sense. What I like to call it is discernment. And we call those people JDLRs. They just don't look right. It's something about them. The pastor needs to not be worried about these people. He needs to be focused on the message. He needs to be focused on the spiritual fitness of the church. The security team needs to be focused on that. And finally, number 4, what I'm going to say in regards to the security is, I'm going to recommend that if you have a security, it be an organized security team. The security team at our church was trained by a company called Strategos. I'm going to put a link below there. They're an outstanding company that directly focuses on preparing, arming, and giving the people the equipment and the skills that they need to guard over that church perfectly. and be able to allow the ministry to fulfill. Because what you don't want is you don't want a heavy guarding presence, because that's just going to kind of scare people away. That goes against the mission of the church. What you do want is you want somebody or a group of people working together as a team to guard over that church every Sunday. The training we received, every single guard on our church security has gone through extensive pistol training. On top of that, we get together occasionally, and Strategos again offers a service where we go through airsoft drills and we see what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. We learn how to work together as a team. And it's not just concealing and carrying, because the problem with a lot of churches is a lot of people do conceal and carry. And if something went down and all of a sudden a lot of people are pulling out guns, this is going to cause a lot of problems. So it's very important that there be a group of people at that church who has the ability to work together as a team and make sure that the bad guy fails and that the church prevails every single time. I hope this video helps. Again, I'm putting Strategos link below. Check them out. Let them know the God Family and Guns sent you. Whether or not you contact them or you contact some other training facility, get trained. Know how to work together as a team. Know how to be a much better user of that handgun than just a CCW course and going to the range. But by far the most important thing is put together a group of sheepdog to stand in between the wolves and the flock. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. You can also now find us at godfamilyandguns.org and God Family and Guns at Facebook. You can also now be a patron to this YouTube channel, and you can find our Patreon link below. But by far, the most important part of this YouTube channel is we take prayer requests, and we put that at the end of every video because God has asked us to, and we're going to be obedient to that, so never hesitate to send that stuff in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns, and as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.